Okay, so I'm starting this new thing where I am giving out tips and tricks, at least to begin with. These are things that's going to work in any FPS game, so it doesn't matter if it's Valorant, even if this is where I'm showcasing this. They should work in Rainbow Six, Counter Strike, Call of Duty, you name it, because these are general tips. As the series moves on and evolves, it might become more centric around Valorant since that's my main game at the moment. But for now, at least, these are tips that works in any game. So, first of all, aiming and crosshair placement. What I see a lot of beginners do is that they are aiming down the ground, and that's something that we used back in CS 1.6. We used to call that hunting ants. So when you see a new player, they are running like this, like looking for ants on the ground. That's obviously not good. Also worth mentioning that I failed to mention. These things that I'm talking about today, if I were to coach someone, these are the main things that I look at in the first session. Because if you don't have the fundamentals down, it's not good. And there's no point really in improving stuff if you don't have the fundamentals like to begin with. Okay, so you always want to have the crosshair in head level. A lot of games, Valorant particularly, but you also have CS. You can look at boxes, and they are actually in head level. So if I kill myself here, and then I rest, then we can actually see that the box is head level. And Valorant is made really, really well in the sense that they don't only place the boxes, they have this line here is head level, this is head level. If we look at this archway, then these are head level. This is head level. So if you always aim like half a centimeter below these lines, then you will automatically be in head level. So just to show it here as well. We res. You can see that is head level. So if you're standing in an elevated area like this, just it can be a bit difficult to know, okay, where is the head level, but just hold just below that line, and that goes for everything. So we have it here. Here you have these lines just below that. Like here would be head, the boxes, like everything. This box here, also perfect for aiming or pre-aiming. We say that we're playing from mid here, we want to peek this box, then you can see, hold your cursor or crosshair aligned with this box and you're in head level. So always try to implement that to your gameplay, that you are always try to pre-aim in head level. Next thing, peeking corners. So there are two major ways to peek corners. We have the pre-aimed method, and we have the scanning method. Most new players tend to do the pre-aimed method or use the pre-aimed method, but that one is not really the best one to use most of the time. Sometimes, yes, it is, but most of the times the scanning method is better. So let's start with the pre-aimed one. So we know this archway here, and if I'm to peek that, Then when I walk up here, I pre-aim at the arch and I move up. So that's what pre-aiming is. Let's just move here and we can pre-aim this arch. And what's good with this one is that, let's say someone is standing there, and instead of scanning, which we will talk more about later, but scanning is when you follow the line, you don't pre-aim. Scanning might require you to flick more in some scenarios, not all, but in some. While pre-aiming, you don't really have that much or that big of an area that you might need to flick in. So that is the pre-aimed method. The only viable areas to use this, in my opinion, is if we take Valorant, for example. In the beginning of the round, we have this field here where we can't cross. So we know for a fact that when that field is removed and we can run up here, the enemy team doesn't have time to get into this area here or even here or anything. They can be there at most. So there's no point really in aiming at this area here. We can just pre-aim and take advantage of that smaller area where we might need to flick. Same thing goes for mid, where the field is here, so we know for a fact there cannot be any enemy in this area. They can only be in that archway, so we might as well just pre-aim the archway. That is the pre-aimed method, and when to use it really. Otherwise, or other scenarios might be, for some reason there is no enemy here. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the round. It could be like in CS, you don't have these fields and Call of Duty and all that. But for some reason no one is here. Then of course, yes, the pre-aim method works there as well. The other method is scanning, which I briefly talked about already, but that is the closest corner, in this scenario, this corner. When you slowly turn around that corner, your crosshair should be kinda in that corner, sort of. So if an enemy shows up, let's place an enemy here.
So that's what it feels like.
So when I'm moving my crosshair here, there already I have my crosshair at the head. So again, keep your crosshair at head level at all times and scan everything. So when you move around, you keep your crosshair close to that corner, and that goes for everything. Same thing here. I'm moving towards mid. I'm always having the crosshair where I expect someone might be. If I pre-aim like this, I don't really need to aim when I see the enemy. All the aim adjustments has been made before I even see them. You just need to react and click. So that's the two main ways of how to peek a corner, or not really peek a corner. We're coming to that later, but how to place your crosshair. So now the movement when you peek corners. This is a bit more technical, but let's start with scanning. So if I move up like this, I'm gonna see my enemy much later than he sees me, and the reason for that is because I'm standing too close to this wall here. So if I move further back, that puts me at a closer advantage. This distance, the enemy sage would still have the advantage, but I'm closing that advantage in. And I can show in Paint sort of how that works. So if we have a box here, and we have you standing here, sort of standing like this. And we have an enemy standing here with their eyes like that. Then if we look at the minimap, you can see, let's move out here. So you can see on the minimap, you have this area here, and this is what I can see. So you can see in a cone shape, and that goes for every single FPS game. So with that in mind, if we now in Paint show that we are watching that and we are looking sort of like that, and then from the middle we look sort of like this. Okay, so here we can see that it's been broken, so this area is also gone because of that. This player, however, if we remove those lines and we do the same thing where we are looking sort of like that, and then from the middle to there, you can see that we can actually see half of this player without this player being able to see this player at all. And we can showcase that a little bit if we go to another area that is better for it. Let's take here. So let's die here and place a bot.
Your duty
So
is
that's
not
what
over.
it feels like.
That was not a good placement. Okay, let's put it like here instead. Let's replace
Your
the
duty
player
is
here.
not
What it
over.
feels like.
So if I'm all the way back here, you can see that I can actually see this player's arm. But if I would place an enemy here where we can see that arm,
Your
So
duty
that's
is not
what
over.
it feels like.
and we move in here, then we are not able to see that player. Even if I'm standing a little bit to the left of this player, I cannot see that player there. I have to move all the way here to start seeing. So with that in mind, you always, except for one scenario that I'm going to mention later as well, you want to be as far away from the corner you're going to peek as possible. So if we go back to A again, if I'm going to peek here, it's much better if I try to be as slicked to this wall as possible, because it's putting me at a further distance from this. If I don't plan on going in immediately, it would be even better to walk up towards this wall here and peek first, because it takes me further away from this wall, and it's closing that peeker's advantage thingy for this player. The only exception that I mentioned is if you're wide swinging, and the difference is if you're moving up and you're like immediately when you can see the area you're going to look at, you stop to be ready to shoot. If you wide swing, you take an extra step, and that is to throw the enemy off guard, because the enemy is going to be standing here holding the crosshair here, but if you move past the crosshair, he has to adjust his aim to where you're running, and that gives you a little bit of time to start shooting. There's a third way to peek corners, which, to my knowledge at least, is only in CS and Valorant. Let's reset so we don't have the bot standing around. And that is knife jumping. So in games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, you get more movement speed while you have your knife out. And you can utilize that to jump out and then turn back in. So you just get a glimpse of that archway. So if we go up to a box here, it's easier to showcase it. If you jump and you hold down, let's say in this scenario, D, and you turn your mouse around while you have D pressed down while in midair, you'll turn midair and you'll land sort of where you were already. We use that here to peek. So if we place another sage here,
Thrifty.
it's obviously very, very short time that you get to see, but now she's shown there. So if we jump, then we can actually see, okay, someone is standing there. This is useful if you suspect an op standing there, an operator or AWP in CS, because hopefully they'll shoot when they see you, but they see you such short time that they'll miss the shot, and you can just take out your weapon and pre-fire them after. Another scenario where it might be good is just you think someone is there, but you're not sure. You have already stated that you are here by stepping or something. You just want to double check if someone is standing there. Then again, knife jumping like this might be useful. So those are the 3 ways I would say peeking a corner should be done with. Personally, I pretty much never use the knife jumping method because I'm a very stealthy player. I like to never show my presence until I have to. So I prefer the normal peeking methods or wide swinging instead, since the jump method gives away a sound cue of you jumping. So the way you should be peeking corners now, with all that's been said in mind, let's take B as an example, and this goes for, again, every FPS game. But let's showcase Valorant first, alright? Or since I'm playing Valorant. So in the beginning of the game, or round rather, they have this field here, so they cannot be inside here. With that in mind, we do not need to peek this corner with the scanning method. So we can just pre-aim it, because we know at furthest they're going to be like there before we can see them. So we walk up towards this wall, we pre-aim, we don't see anyone. Now we start scanning. So we scan here. They could have walked up here. To not be shown from there, I'm gonna move up here while still scanning this corner. Okay, no one is there. We know that now. Now we want to go around this corner, and we don't want to go around it like that because of reasons we have shown already. So we back up. We look market, we check here, we keep scanning, we don't see anything. And now we can safely walk in because we know, okay, no one is here to look at us. Now we can look here, we can like there, here, up to market, check spawn a little. So always keep your crosshair where you expect the enemy to be and move away from the wall that you're going to go into. So if we here I have 2 prints prepared for this. So a lot of new players I see just run in, hug that corner, which again is bad. If someone is standing here, they will see you before you see them. And then they run up here, maybe they look in here. If they do, they could have get closer to this wall to get an advantage even, because this distance here is to this corner. This distance is shorter than this distance. So if you're standing in this corner, you will see the enemy later than if the enemy is here. They will see you first. And then after that, they just run in. So this is how I see a lot of new players do. What you should do is hug this wall, walk up here. Now we have checked, okay, no one is there. Now we walk down here. We aim into this corner. We walk up here. Okay, no one is in this corner. Now we walk up and we go in an arch like that to scan the whole area. And this goes for wherever you want to go. I just picked B because there's so many angles to check. Like we have there, then we have here, then we have market here, and so on. But we could say, let's say I'm coming from here, so I want to be close to this ledge to get a further distance to this corner. Okay, no one there. Close to this wall to be covered from there if someone walks up. No one there. We walk out. We check everything. Okay, no one's here. Now we're gonna go to this corner, so we move further away from it, close to this. We check here. Okay, no one is here. We move up here to be safe if someone decides to peek there. We check. Okay, nothing there. Now we move in here. Check. I'm still moving in this scenario close to this wall, just because if someone here peeks me while I'm swinging out like this. So this is an exception, and you need to like determine where to use that, because if someone is standing there, they're gonna shoot me while I'm looking here. So what have I scanned already? I've scanned here and I have scanned here. Let's not show ourselves to anything but that. So we move out a little bit and then we scan. Okay, now we can move away. We don't see anything here. Now we can come here. Again, close to this wall to see there and to be safe from this. Nothing there. Now we check here. Another thing, just a side note that I use a lot of the time, if I'm peeking like that, let's say I'm peeking here, instead of staying here or standing still here and turn around and then go, is when you're standing like this, they're gonna see your weapon. So what I usually do is I look there, okay, then I move away as I turn, so my weapon is not shown. Yeah, I guess that's everything I wanted to talk about today. I'm gonna continue playing, and if you have any questions, then feel free to ask. These are the basic fundamentals I look at first when I look at a player that I am coaching or giving tips to. If you don't have these things down, then you need to fix that before you can look at other things. I think I'm gonna do this every stream. I stream every weekend. So only one day a week at the moment, but might start streaming more later on. But for now, I think I'm gonna do this every weekend, and I will upload what I've talked about to YouTube.